Up, 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 up. In the club, fuck it up, ayy. Got a bag, run it up, ayy.
Do you always give people a solution and advice, or else do you let them just vent to you? Because I feel like sometimes, like, people might come off as like you're invalidating how they feel by giving them a solution. I don't know.
I feel like you're always validating somebody, how they feel. I mean, first of all, if you're listening to them, first of all, but
How do you not invalidate someone's feelings? You know that?
that's a good question. I don't even know if I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Because that's not something I really do. So it's not like something I put in, that's not something that I'm like really in the space of doing. I feel like.
It's part of empathy, huh?
Right. I feel like everybody.
Trouble with that.
So like, yeah, it's like asking a person without. Who's been blind their whole life, what does the sun look like, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's like that.
Kind of, yeah. That's how I like to look at it, Let me think, and another reason that's a difficult question to answer is because, I don't know when or if I'm invalidating somebody's feeling. And if I'm invalidating it on purpose, that means I feel like it's not valid on my side or their side. You get me? So it's like, okay, you may have said that, but you're trying to get something out of me. You don't really mean that, or you don't really feel that. So I'm operating off of the premise of it being irrelevant. It's not validated off rip. It's like, you could tell me that the sky is, what color? Pick a color. Orange. And you're telling me a lie to my face, so I'm automatically invalidated off rip. It's like,
yeah.
I'm not even gonna listen to what you have to say. What you just said doesn't matter. I'll just go, okay, whatever. To me, that sky is blue.
Okay, so then how do you, when someone comes to you for advice, or not even to advice, they just tell you how they feel, like, oh, I feel mad, I feel sad, but they don't ask for your opinion, but they're just telling you how they feel, and you ask them why, they tell you, what will you say after that?
Well, it depends on who it is. Again,
Someone close to you? Yeah, someone close to you.
Yeah. So if somebody I feel like people don't come up to me with bullshit. When people come to me, they know what they're gonna get, right?
Yeah.
So if people come to me, I feel like they're looking for an answer or a reason or a solution to a problem. If you coming to me on bullshit, you can miss me with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come up to me with a problem and it's not getting done or fixed or nothing about it. It's like, oh, you just give me a problem? Like, okay, I got problems of my own. Everybody got problems, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why do I need to deal with your problems? I don't need your problems in my life. I got enough of my own, right? So like, I think people understand me and who I am, and then too, like, I don't tolerate people that, like I said earlier, just gonna garbage dump trash into my life and just leave, or you might get off maybe one, maybe a couple of times, but eventually you're not gonna. I will be less accessible to you over time. That's not gonna happen forever. That's not just gonna keep happening.
But what will you do in that point though?
At what point?
Like when they tell you, okay, you tell them what's wrong. They tell you,
Mm-hmm.
what do you say after? Are you gonna tell them that same thing that you just said right now? You don't come with me with bullshit.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah, maybe not like that, but in so
Yeah.
many words, yeah, but yeah. Or they already know that. I probably don't even have to say it because they know who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes down to like having a standard for your life, your quality of life, and what you demand out of not only yourself but other people. Like, okay, my first job. I'll give y'all some history. Right, my first job ever. I don't know if you know this. I used to work for the city of Pantego, in the town that I used to live in, back home in Texas, in Arlington. Did I tell you about this?
No.
And I worked for a few different departments. I worked for the fire department, the budget department, the police department, like management and so forth and so on. And so I learned like all different aspects. of how to run a city basically. And I was an intern. I was like 17 that summer. It was really cool. It was really cool. But I say all that to, long story short, every city has what's called planning and zoning. And they're like the set of laws or restrictions so far as like businesses and land. Basically, it deals with like land and property management and that sort of thing. You know, like you have to have your mailbox. Everything has to be a certain standard. You know, your mailbox has to look like this if you want mail. You know, your grass can't be too high. You know, because it's unsafe for the environment, and everybody in that city agrees, hey, this is what we're gonna do as a city, and if you don't do this, you know, you either forfeit your property, you can't stay here anymore. You know, and when you live in even smaller, a gated community, they have even more strict restrictions because they're a community within a larger community. You know, so they have all the restrictions of the city. Not only that, but also the restrictions that they've decided on inside of the city. Like, I think when I talk about things like this, I think of like, say, Shaolin monks or people in like a church, for example. Like, they have their own rules and guidelines that they abide by as a community, right? That they decide on and say like, this is okay and this is right. And when you're dealing with, you go back home, you know, to your community, whether it's your family or your friends or whatever, you have an established relationship of what you're willing to accept, you know, not only in your life, but in other lives. Like, your family here is a community, right? And y'all all have these rules, you know, that y'all agree to abide by. You know, like rent, for example, who pays what, you know, where you can eat. Maybe you can't eat in the couch or the living room or the sofa or something like that. This person cleans, you know, this person makes food. All of this stuff has to be done in a certain time, you know, and that comes with like a set standard, you know, or a system. So like, people know what they're getting when they come up to me and approach me, you know. So like, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, people don't come up to me, or they know what they're gonna get. And if you're talking about people close to me, they definitely know what they're gonna get, you know. And that's why I only tolerate so many people, or I have like, you know.
What if you're in a relationship? That's the same thing? It goes the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely the same thing. Yeah, and if it don't work, they could get the fuck, you know what I'm saying?
Get the boot.
You know? So yeah. That's how it is, you know.
So it goes back to being empathetic, right? And that's what you need.
To me, it's empathetic. I'm being empathetic towards myself and the other person. Right? Because we're doing something that, okay, you're wasting my time, I'm not going to let that happen, and I'm wasting your time if this isn't the right fit, you know. I'm withholding you from the love of your life because I ain't it, you know, don't fool yourself now. If this not working out, right, like, don't let me hold you back. I ain't going to stop you from love, you know. I'm not the person. You know, so I'm going to do what's best for me and what's best for you. And you want to talk about relationships, we can talk about that in any aspect of any relationship. Because I was watching this one interview. This was the operations manager of this particular company, and she was talking about the same thing from the same perspective. Because she doesn't want to have an employee who's the wrong fit for her company. You know, so it's better for that person to do their own thing. You know, and so she's not wasting their time, and they're not wasting her time. You know, so it works out. It is empathy. It really is. You know, if we're not a part of the program, you need to go create your own program, you know, or do something that is in your best interest, because we have two different cultures or dynamics, and this isn't working, you know, for either of us. We're just spinning our wheels with no results.
Interesting.
Yeah, how you feel about that?
Okay. I understand from that perspective.
Would you disagree, or you agree, or what? You say you understand. I mean.
Yeah, I would say half and half. Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. You know, some people don't really like being, like, have a solution to the problem. They just felt like being heard. Right. Yeah, I would always try to find solutions to your problem. You know, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe you should focus on this instead of focusing on that.
But they just
But they just want to vent because that's how they feel, and
that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I'm not the person for that. You know, like it's what I think you were talking about this for a second. It all comes back down to your purpose, right? And I'm not for that. I'm not the one.
Right.
You know, so like I'm gonna tell them it'll be using empathy, right? It will be in your best interest to go to somebody who's gonna listen to that shit, because it's not me.
You know, experience is like sometimes, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to feel heard.
Yeah.
Like when it starts happening off, and I've been in that situation where it's like I keep telling my problems to somebody, like, you know, they stop listening.
Why?
But then because they keep hearing it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm left to dealing it with myself, and I'm better off dealing it with myself. Ever since I started dealing with shit on my own, it's kind of like I really don't need to vent as much. Like I don't need to, like I can handle it on my own now.
Right.
Like, so I feel like that's probably.
As long as the problem gets fixed, it doesn't matter. Right.
I feel like people that vent too much, I feel like they gotta figure it out on themselves.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you're talking about people being dependent on another person.
Yeah. That's why I feel like, okay, I'm gonna give you a solution. You figure that out.
So we talk about emotional intelligence, right? And I feel like a big part of emotional